Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you're talking.
Achilles Friesen.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us and
Yes.
agreeing to meet with us and inviting us into your home.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. And thank you to everybody tuning in, be it on the live stream or otherwise. Our first thing is just to get to know you a bit. So I
Yeah.
think, should we just dive into the first question?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Awesome. Our first question for you is, what's your love language?
My love language is gift giving, which
Okay.
you don't hear very often, because I think people are ashamed.
Oh, no.
I'm ashamed.
Oh, no.
I feel like it's the most expensive love language. I mean,
I
it's
see.
it's a lot less expensive to give someone a compliment than it is to like go out and get something. But I've been trying to like translate gift giving through like less expensive stuff, like cool rocks and like
Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah, I just like physical memorials of things, I think, the most.
Absolutely. Awesome. Great. Getting the thumbs up from Clark here. We were having some technical difficulties, but that's all good, right? So yeah, it sounds like physical objects are kind of your love language, and it sounds like you're kind of a tactile person.
Yes, I am. I love textures. Yeah, I just like collecting stuff. I play a lot of D&D,
Okay.
and I get more dice than like sessions that I play because I'm like, oh yes, I love how they feel. So
Yeah.
I got lots of fidget toys. Maybe I don't know what love language
Whatever
is.
this
Just
is.
touching around. Yeah.
I love it. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Another word I've heard for that is like touchstones, like
Yes.
having something that brings you back to like a time or place or even like a feeling or something. So I don't know if that you feel like that applies at all, but
I think so. I think I don't think I've ever thrown out a birthday card. Like I have
Oh,
like the
nice.
stacks and stacks of like every little like signed whatever. So I think it's even more important to me when like you know that they thought about you and stuff like that. Yeah, I just like stuff. I like being able to like look at it and be like, this is when this happened and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. There was something you said about having something and knowing that people took the time to like write that or sign
Yes.
that, and yeah, I think that's really sweet. I don't know why that stood out to me,
Yeah.
but it did.
It feels like I don't know. It feels like I think the least obligatory. I think to me, I feel like because words, I'm always like, okay, thank you, but that could have been anything.
Yeah.
But when someone like goes out of their way to bring me something, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it must have been special if you like brought it on your journey and stuff like that. So yeah, talisman, I guess.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Are there any other love languages that you have?
Ooh, I think quality time is my second one. I haven't taken it in a second, so I
Okay.
could just be lying. But yeah, I like hanging out. I'm a big like FaceTime someone just to like not talk for 3 hours and
right
like
on.
do our own kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think quality time is my second, I think.
Second one.
Yeah.
So gift giving and quality time
Yes.
with people. Right on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Is there anything else you want to share about that? Shall we move on?
I don't think so. I don't.
Maybe we'll come
yeah,
back to it. But
I don't. I was gonna say how those two blend together, but they don't.
yeah.
Like a puzzle.
Yeah. If you were to spend time
Yeah,
on a
and
puzzle,
build
yeah.
the So.
Fair enough. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think our next question for
Yeah.
you is who has been a significant influence or role model in your life?
Ooh, I've had a couple. I am pretty good at like clutching on to someone who like influences me for like years and then going on to someone else, and so I feel like I have like pretty distinct landmarks of role models like growing up. Kurt Vonnegut is like the biggest one to me. He's an author. He wrote Slaughterhouse-Five,
Okay.
which was when he was stuck inside like a meat processing facility when like they were getting bombed and stuff like that. And it's like this absurdist text kind of told through an unreliable narrator that like jumps through time and also just like doesn't make sense. And it's just like, it was the first time I read a book where like you weren't supposed to get it the first time you read it, and you were supposed to like have to go back and like write in it and understand that. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that like art could be that way, where you could like mess it up and like lie in your art and people would like know about those lies and like still see it as art. So I think that was the first time I was like, oh, this is, I didn't know you could write like this. I didn't know this was a thing. I think that's kind of what got me into writing more like absurd, funky stuff, because I didn't realize it was kind of an art form until then.
Totally.
So Kurt Vonnegut was, a really big one. He's like a very brilliant author. So, yeah.
Interesting. It sounds, there's something in that for me. It's like, I feel like it sounds like they maybe are writing in like Easter eggs almost.
Yeah, kind of.
And it's like things that, you know, you may not pick up on the first time.
Totally.
But like the more you read it or spend time with it,
Absolutely.
quality time,
you
know, the more you find those things.
flip the pages,
Yeah.
physical touch or
tactile.
touching.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he also like purposefully doesn't take himself seriously, which is really nice. Like his signature looks like an asterisk, and he always says it's just a butthole. And he's like, they don't let me put buttholes on my books, so I'll say my signature is a butthole so that they can't take it off and stuff like that.
When there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly, yeah. So it's just cool to have someone like, he's not a writer, so it's interesting to have that kind of like mind going into it. Yeah.
Very interesting. Cool. Are there any other role models in your life? It sounds like you had, you know, you
Yes.
would kind of, would you say fixate on one and then move on
yes.
or not? Quite? Yeah.
Yes, fixate most likely.
Yeah.
I like to say that they still like stay a bit with me, but I definitely like go through my waves of like, oh wow, this is the best person ever. I think Karen Hines was my first like playwright I got into. I discovered her work in like an English exam. Like it was one of her absurdist plays that we had to like analyze. And I remember reading it and being like, this is brilliant and should not be in like a diploma level test because it's absurdist theater and it doesn't quite like make sense.
Yeah.
But I think both Karen Hines and Kurt Vonnegut like were important moments in my life where I realized that you don't have to take yourself so seriously when it comes to like text and theater and stuff like that. And Karen Hines, who like wrote a couple scripts for like a bouffon clown, is really interesting because you don't really see a lot of clown scripts.
Right.
But it's like very smart and like makes fun of itself, and it's just it's really beautiful. So I think she was another big one for me where I was like, oh, look at these guys doing weird stuff, and I can do weird stuff, and I don't have to write just like nonfiction narrative like one-line stuff. So she was my first like. When I was a kid, I was like, I want to be a writer or I want to be an actor. And she was the first person that I was like, oh, I can do both of those in the same thing. Check that out. So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. Cool. Very cool. Awesome. Is there anything else you want to share about influences and role models?
I don't think so. I think, those are the big ones, I think.
Those are the big ones?
Yeah.
Awesome. And how recent were those? So the one you said was like...
Kurt Vonnegut, it was like the start of high school, I think.
Start of high school.
Yeah. And then I think Karen Hines was kind of when I started university. I don't know, like, if I have anyone I'm, like, following now. I would say, like, this is probably cheesy, but a lot of my role models now are, like, the people I'm working with.
Oh, interesting.
Because, like, I'm almost out of school. I'm so close. I'm, like, a semester away. So I feel like I've seen, like, a lot of the people I work with, like, grow up in the years I've been through. So it's, like my friend Ahona, she has so many like skills that I just am not naturally very good at. Like she's so much more TYA than I am. So like she's my role model in that sense where I'm like, it comes so naturally to you that I want to take inspiration from that. So I think I've just been kind of trying to like sponge up everyone else's amazing qualities so then I can just spit them back out when I get out. So I think just the people around me, I guess.
Interesting. I think that's awesome. Like kind of having these role models that are people you are not going to meet in the immediate, future in like high school, it sounds like, but then, getting to university and being able to see that in others that are right next to you, I think that's really special.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it has been very special.
Any other thoughts on that?
I don't think so.
No? That's okay. That's okay. We can move on to the next question. Our next question is, what is a defining memory that shaped who you are today?
Oh.
I know, this sounds like a big question. I feel like this would be easier if you had like a touchstone with you. Like
yes, if I was...
like, this brings to mind this.
That's exactly what I should have. They have like those like picking stones. Have you seen those? They're like stones with like little holes in them and you fill them with latex and then you like take a little picky thing and you pick them out. It's supposed to stop you from like picking your nails, but it's a little picky. Anyways, that's not what the question was.
No, but I have seen like those stones where like you can like rub them, and
And they're, yeah.
and somehow they're made of something where it does actually, and it's not like a rock, but
Yeah.
it's like a stone.
I don't know how much I love that one. I'm
fair.
not a wet textures person.
Are
That
they
one,
wet?
it gives I don't know, they look
feel like
wet.
they're
I don't know. A moment that shaped my life.
Yes.
I don't know. I guess figuring out how much resiliency I had, I think. I think I spent like the first half of my career like forcing myself to do a lot of theater and always like pushing myself into it. And it was like a part of me I kind of like resented for a bit because I was like, oh, I wish just for once I wouldn't go on. Or like I wish I would just like give up just this one time. But I think as I like got older, kind of figured my stuff out, I realized that that's what kind of keeps me going is that resiliency. And I kind of hated it in the moment because I wanted to give up, but that aspect of me that like just can't give up kind of pushes me even when I want to give up, which is really nice. So I think if it weren't for that, I would definitely not have the career I have now. So I think just that kind of like the spirit in me that I got to like rediscover as like strong and like powerful was probably a defining moment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And I love this idea of resiliency that you speak to. And I don't know if there's a correlation here, but there's something about you seeing such like value and meaning in objects which just are and they just exist and they don't quit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just exist and they just keep going. And I don't know. It's a bit of a weird correlation, but I just think like I think it's interesting that you find value and meaning in that, and then you speak to this idea of resiliency.
Yeah.
You just can't quit, you know. And there's just something in you that just keeps going. You know?
Totally. Descartes also said that like one of the defining objects of a body is something that can't be taken up by something else, which I was always like.
Whoa. Wait, can you say that one more time? And
like
who said this?
Descartes, Rene Descartes.
Rene Descartes.
I think, therefore I am.
I think, therefore I am.
That's
okay,
like that guy.
Yeah.
He had a couple ones that I was like, I don't know, Rene. But one of his big ones was like, the definition of a body is something that can't be taken up by another object, or like a space that can't be taken up by something else.
Right.
And I know that's not like super connected, but it makes me think of like, even if you are done or like want to give up, nothing can occupy the space that you're in, you know? And it kind of like, I feel like when I was in that philosophy class, everyone was like, yeah, body can't take up space. And I was sitting there like, whoa, I'm gonna write something about that.
Absolutely.
So I think, I think about that a lot. I think that works well with like the objects, and like anything can be considered a body as long as it like occupies its own space, which is pretty interesting. Yeah.
That's super interesting. Yeah. Oh, awesome. I love that. And you're into like philosophers.
Yes,
and
I'm a big philosophy guy. I'm getting a minor in philosophy, hopefully. But yeah, it's just one of those things that like when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I wish I could go to class to like think about stuff. And then I came to university and I was like, you could take classes to think about stuff. So it's been a weird like kind of like branch of art I've taken, but it's been super interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Maybe we'll come back to that at some point.
Yeah.
But
I'll bring it up again.
yeah, absolutely. Please do. Cool. Great. Unless you have anything else to say about defining moments, we can move on.
Yeah.
Our next question for you is, what do people learn about you with time? Like, do you have any special skills or talents?
I can make a really good clown honking nose.
Clown honking nose.
Like when you honk a clown nose?
Yeah.
You ready?
Sure, let's hear it.
Oh, I guess, would you like if I did
I
it?
would love to, yeah, if
Okay.
you're open to sharing that, yeah. What?
Oh, that one was not as good. That was a little flat.
Okay, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Whoa.
pretty cool, right?
That's
Hopefully that audio
insane.
kept in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I learned how to do that for summer. Now I do to kids. I'll be like, did you know it did that? To like their nose.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so I can play half of Silent Night on the harmonica, and I can play Jolene on the piano. So
Okay, awesome.
I got many skills.
Just a variety.
Yeah, I'm very big on like picking up stuff
Just picking
and
up
like
stuff.
touching. I guess I'm a big fingers guy. Like
Fingers guy.
Yeah, pick up the guitar, pick up piano, just kind of like
Just
plunk
learn a
away at
little
stuff until I'm like, okay, I'm done, and work on the next step. So yeah, just like weird skills, I guess. I also like make stuff into games all the time. Like I love to be like, let's make a game. Like I used to work at Tim's, and we would try and throw bags of coffee beans to get the window to automatically open, and you get like points based on how long the window stayed open.
Amazing.
So I just like to occupy myself with like dumb games, stuff like that. So I guess that's something you can expect from me.
Nice. Yeah, making things into games. And also
Yeah.
there was something you said about, again, I'm just kind of like seeing parallels here
Yes.
for you of just like, it sounds like you love getting objects from wherever.
Yeah.
Like, it fits like this aesthetic. And then like, I think there's something about that of like pulling from many different places and people. And then just
Totally.
in your everyday life, pulling from various skills and
Yes.
just trying things. And
Yeah, it was something I thought about a lot because I was like, oh, I don't think I'm like good at one thing, but I think I'm like okay at like a million things.
Right.
And I think it's like, I used to not really like that about myself, but I kind of am like growing to really like being a smorgasbord of kind of what I find because I think it, even if I can't do a lot of it, usually you only need a little bit anyways.
Yeah.
You only need that one clown honk to really work to sell
Yeah,
people. So
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
I've just kind of liked sticking to whatever I can kind of. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And like, I think like, cause you're an actor also.
I am,
Like
yes.
I'm an actor too, and I think there's definitely something to be said about just getting life experience and just
Totally.
trying things. You know, like I feel like at some point, that one time you play piano or pick up a guitar or will come in handy at some point
Totally.
for some reason. you
Yeah,
know, like-
I'm always big with like also like throwing myself into stuff, even if I'm not like entirely 100% sure how to
Yeah.
do it. Like I just finished a project where I was like, yeah, I'll conduct this like 2-part harmony. I could do that. And then I was like at home and I was like, oh no, okay, we're gonna have to figure that one out. So I
Yeah.
think I like maybe that's my resiliency again. I just like push myself into different talents. I think I just like trust that I'll be able to pick up a basic level to kind of figure it out. So yeah.
Interesting. Cool. I think that really speaks to your personality. I think so.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Next question. Work
Yes,
for you?
please.
Awesome. Our next question is, what's a unique experience and/or adventure you've been a part of?
Oh, I did Hoot Nanny this summer,
Okay.
which is an outdoor TYA project, theater for young audiences. It's like, this has a big wagon. We did a performance on like anxiety in children, which was really fun. So for like all of July, I believe, we would go out there every morning and like perform for kids to kind of show up. And that was like, it really like, I hadn't worked with kids for very much. And I was always kind of like, oh yeah, like I at my like job, I work with kids. And I feel like dealing with kids like when they have a headset on is a lot easier because you can just kind of point and tell them where to click. But hearing like kids' opinions on like the theater and like what they have to say, like really kind of made me be like, oh wow, like I didn't look at it that way. And I feel like now that I kind of have that perspective, I'm able to like channel that perspective looking at other pieces of theater and be like, how would this person see it and stuff like that. So I think like connecting with children like that and seeing like, especially ones that were like really passionate for theater and watching the theater we put on and hearing their feedback on it was really interesting. Even if it was like, I had one kid come up and be like, I like last year's Hoot Nanny better. And I was like, I wasn't in last year's Hoot Nanny. But even that, I was like, oh, that's like, I want to know why you thought that, stuff like that. And I think like in the same boat, but also in the completely opposite boat. In high school, I worked with people with dementia. We did improv with them. It was called Imagination Alive, and we would help them improv create stories so that they didn't have to like, so they could focus their energy on creating new stories instead of trying to recall old stories that they couldn't.
Absolutely.
And so we actually like published a book with them where we helped them like create all their stories. And that was also a really interesting experience because it was like, just like hearing how people think and like hearing experiences from this person. I worked with a very lovely woman named Gail who hated theater students. So she hated theater students only, or she hated me only when she remembered that she hated theater students.
Right.
So there'd be some days where she'd be like, oh my God, like, how are you? And I'd be like, I'm doing good. And then I'd come in the next day and she'd be like, my husband was in Les Mis and it was 3 hours and I hated it. So yeah, I think getting those two like opposite perspectives, but like strangely similar kind of.
Yeah.
I just been, the more I get to work with people I've never like met before, the more I'm like, oh, this was so like enriching for me as a storyteller. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm hearing like, kind of, so it's that idea of like working with youth audiences and also working with older folks.
Yeah.
And like how they are very different, obviously.
Yeah.
but can be similar in some ways.
Totally.
I think like kids are absolutely ruthless. Like,
They are.
they will tell you the truth.
Yes.
Their truth. They'll tell you
exactly.
their truth. And that's awesome. And so will older folks apparently.
Yeah. Yes, they sure will.
And like and that's really great work, I think, with the working with people with dementia and improv games. I've heard of a documentary. I think it was called Garden Shark was the name of it, and the idea was you sit down with people with dementia, and it's like I think it can be such an isolating illness.
Totally.
And so it's the idea of meeting them where they're at. So if they think they want to tell a story and it's about a garden and it's about a shark, and then it happens to be in a garden, you're like, why not?
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like the improv rule of yes and, you know, and it's like, and where is it? It's in a garden. It's like, okay, awesome. And you just kind of run with them, right? Because so many times it's trying to like remind them maybe of you know, reality, but you know, what's the point of having imagination?
Totally.
Use it, you know? And I think kids are the exact same way.
Yeah.
What's the point of having imagination if you can't use it? And,
exactly.
you know, run in a forest, but really you're just in your living room. Like,
Yeah, we used to like give them photos to kind of start the story from, like be like, who do you think is in this photo and stuff like that. And we had one person who like, he wasn't like much of a talker. And then the end of the year, we gave him like this photo of like a pine forest or something. And he started like going on and on about like how he like, that was what he painted for years. And like, he was like an artist that would like do like pine trees and stuff like that. And it was so interesting to like, just for like a day, like just talk with him just because of that one photo. It's like, if no one had showed him that photo, we wouldn't have gotten that chance. So yeah, it was really like fulfilling work, I think. Yeah.
Very interesting. Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Is there anything else you want to share
I
about
don't think so.
adventures, experiences? No, that's totally cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
That is fair. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Our next question for you is, let me just make sure I'm in the right spot here. How do you cope when the going gets tough?
When the going gets tough.
Those days.
Listeners.
Yes.
I think art is like a really big escape for me. I think it's a lot easier to come up with inspiration and like write when you're in a very like emotionally extreme place. I'm still trying to figure out how to get as much inspiration from like being sad as I do as like being neutral. But from where I am now, I feel like I get a lot of inspiration from the emotional states that I'm in. And then when I revisit those, like if it's like poetry or plays or whatever it is, I feel like it kind of was like my own kind of journal in a way. Because when I write stories, and stuff like that, I feel like I can reflect back on those emotions that I kind of like was feeling when I wrote it. And there's like that element of me that's preserved forever. Like I have a lot of my play ideas when I'm like upset about something or like in a weird emotional state, and like it's nice to be able to like preserve that feeling and expand on it later, and like spend a lot of my time writing trying to be like, what would I have said when I was in that state, and like what would I have thought, and like how can I translate that. And then I have like this like completed copy of like me like going through something or coping with something or not coping with something at all. So yeah, I think mostly writing. Oh my gosh.
Hey, CD. You don't usually
she
like
might
people?
hit you. She is not very nice.
That's okay. Sorry.
No.
Sharing something super deep and personal, and the cat decided it was their moment.
Yep. That's
sounds
Carly.
about right. But yeah, no. So it sounds like I was hearing a parallel there again.
Yes.
Of this idea of like, kind of creating. I don't know. Like you see value in objects, but it seems like you're able to, you know, feel these things that for you are very. What's the word you used? Was it extreme or?
Yeah, like emotional.
Yeah, emotional extremes, and you're kind of able to like put those into like a time and place maybe, or just a state, and you're able to like kind of revisit them, and it sounds like something you're working on. And just how to get the most out of, like, it sounds like you like to sit and think about things.
I do.
And
I
so
do like to sit and think about things.
kind of how you would maybe be drawn to like reflecting on those things.
Totally. Yeah, I think I always try and like write things that aren't like, this is what I'm upset about, but like I like to, for like lack of a better word, I guess like think pieces.
Yeah.
Of like situations that kind of spark the same emotions. Like when I was kind of discovering who I was as gender queer and like coming out with my pronouns and stuff like that, I wrote a play called Pregnant Man. And it was about a man and a woman locked in a bunker by God who had to like procreate to continue the human race. It was kind of like a nuclear Noah's Ark. But the woman found out that they were trans and they didn't want to give birth to children. And it was like kind of this play where you can read one aspect of it and be like, oh, this is like kind of transphobic, the way they're talking about like wanting to but not wanting to and all this stuff. But there's another layer that's like, who am I to say it's transphobic if it's their decision? And then there's another layer that's like, how would I cope with that? Like, if you're locked to repopulate, but you never know if you're going to get out to begin with, is it worth like living who you're not going to be in the end? So it's kind of like, I try and create theater that like gives you the same emotions I was feeling. And so even though I wasn't like at any point in my life locked in a bunker, I wanted to try and like encapsulate what it felt like to either be like, is my biological importance more than my happiness, and kind of stuff like that. Yeah, so I forget what the question was, but that.
No, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you for sharing that, first of all. And yeah, there's something in there of like, so yeah, you try and create these plays that, I think what it was for me was that I just was thinking of like Descartes,
yes.
Descartes, and whenever I think of philosophers like that, I always think of like, there's usually just like quotes and stuff of them is what's pulled. I know there's probably a larger context of their writing and stuff, but it's just like they just say the thing that needs to be said.
Yes.
And it sounds like you're kind of doing that, but then in a storytelling way, you're also trying to, create like, I don't know, like you're creating a world, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
That people can maybe see themselves in and or just experience, and it will have an effect on them in some way, shape, or form. And, I don't know. Yeah. Right on. Cool. I feel like there's more to talk about there, but I think maybe if we come back to it.
Yeah, I mean,
unless you have,
I know that like a lot of times, like especially with the classic philosophers, I took 17th century philosophy this semester.
Okay.
So I have a lot worse things to say about philosophers than I normally do. Because normally when you read more modern ones, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But when you read stuff like before they figured out like physics, you kind of have to like give them a lot more leeway than you normally would.
Give them a bit more grace.
Yeah, but a lot of philosophers like will not shut up. Like they write, and like when you're writing something like that, you kind of have to like be defending every word that you say and like going back and backtracking and stuff like that. And so a lot of times like philosophical texts are super unapproachable because of that. Like I Think Therefore I Am came from like a 200-page meditation. And I still haven't gotten to the part where he actually says, I think, therefore I am. Like, I don't even know if he says it in that book. But, like, I feel like it's really off-putting to a lot of people because it's not an accessible art form. And so that's something I kind of try and do with my art as well, is kind of take the story. Because they do kind of lead you through a story. Like, especially people like Descartes. When you don't have a lot of the truths of the world, you have to make a lot of through lines that you wouldn't normally. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, I think it was Aristotle said that the reason rocks or heavy rocks fell to the ground was because the minerals wanted to be closer to the earth where they came from. And it's like, yeah, I mean, if you don't know what gravity is, that makes sense. And so I think a lot of philosophy is like giving them that doubt and giving them that belief. And that's a lot of what storytelling is too, is being like, just trust me on this. So I think there's a lot of similarities there that I get a lot of inspiration from to try and like, first just make philosophy more accessible, but also like take the stories that they're implying and put them in like an actual storytelling setting.
Totally. There was like two things in there that really stood out to me. I will try and remember them as I talk through them here. But I think the one was, this idea of storytelling and creating your own through lines. I think that's something people do every day, whether you agree with that or not. I think everybody, every day, you decide on certain things and you have a reason for doing those things. And like, I think that's really interesting. And it makes sense they would have been doing that as well. And,
totally.
And then the other thing was this idea of quantity.
Yes.
And just the idea of, I think about this a lot in art, and I think it's really interesting. So knowing that the I think therefore they I am comes from like this larger context.
It really does.
But like that's what is known.
Yeah.
It's that idea of creating in theater. I've heard it called like coming up with nuggets, ideas, basically. So you come up with nuggets, but then you come up with so many that eventually you'll find a golden nugget.
Totally,
And that's the idea that just kind of stands out. That is the I think, therefore I am.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you run with that, you know? And interesting.
Yeah. I think philosophy is like the hardest to be simple about because like you can always talk so much. I'm talking so much about school because I just finished my finals yesterday.
Congratulations.
But thank you so much. I did not think I was gonna get through that round. I just finished a philosophy test that I was complaining to my roommate about. And she was like, well, what is it? And I was like, it's 5 to 6 questions, like 2 sentences each. And she was like, oh, that's easy. And I was like, not for philosophy. For philosophy, like it's easier to write 2 pages than it is to like sum up what this person is saying so like concretely and like confidently as well. Because even like we read these assignments for class where like we read through their essays and I'll read the whole thing and be like, yeah, this is what they were saying. And then I'll get into class and it's not what the professor says they're saying at all. So it's so subjective. Like they try so hard to define everything that they can, but even then there's like still so much room for speculation and like essays from philosophers are usually responses to previous essays, so it's like you're always trying to catch up and stuff too. So a lot of words.
Very interesting. And I'm getting that sense of what you're talking about like accessibility.
Yes.
Like it does sound like quite a lot of hurdles to get over.
Totally.
And, I think there's something interesting about that. For sure. But very interesting. Should we move on to the next question?
Let's move on.
Next question is, how do you celebrate when life's running smoothly?
Ooh, I play a lot of D&D, which I mentioned a bit earlier. Love D&D. I love to write for D&D. I'm just like a big like writing in my spare time person. So doing D&D is fun, but doing D&D with people who have like a passion for storytelling is like a different layer of fun because it's like these people are not only like committed to helping you tell the best story you can, but also committed to like going through the story as their characters and like all that kind of stuff. So I know like as soon as I have like a second, I have like one of the group chats, I'm like, we should do something, please. But I think, I'm still trying to manage that balance of finding inspiration when things are going okay. But I think a lot of like when things go okay is when I'm writing and reflecting on stuff that I've done previously, a lot of reading. I just bought this book called like 100 Essays That'll Change Your Life.
Okay.
And it's all just like philosophies on like different aspects you can change. Like I read like a 3-page essay on why lowering our empathy is what leads to us like becoming less tolerant of people. And like the only reason that we are less tolerant of people is because we allow misinformation to lower our empathy. And when we lower our empathy, we don't care as much. And so it was just like this really interesting just kind of essay about like when you start, and like this sounds so like rudimentary, but like when you start putting yourself in other people's shoes, or when you start like genuinely being like, well, how does this make me feel? You raise that natural empathy that you have in you, and it makes you stop yourself earlier with intolerance and stuff like that. So I think, just always know when to pop up. Just stuff like that. Reading, writing, play a lot of Sims.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
classic.
Yeah. Nice. So D&D and storytelling, it sounds like, is what that is.
Yeah.
You know? It's like storytelling and engaging with it, and And is there like an element of like escaping in that? Or
100%.
Like Sims?
Like 1,000%.
That's a thing, right?
Oh, I went on Netflix last night, and the very first category they recommended was escapist reality TV shows. And I was like, that's mortifying. Yes, I'm going to watch the first one. Escapism is, it's delicious. I know it's probably not the best, but I feel like that's like part of being a writer is being able to kind of like pop yourself into that world. And so I love just like video games and stuff like that really like pop me into that reality, and I don't have to worry about everything else. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Our next question for you is what inspired you to pursue your current career? I don't know if the mics are picking it up.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. The cat is playing with a toy.
Yes. Which she never plays with.
Of course.
Sorry, can you ask me the question again?
Absolutely, absolutely. What inspired you to pursue your current career or field of study?
Ooh. I'm not sure. I think I always kind of wanted to do theater as a kid. My mom was really nice and like kind of wherever we moved around Alberta a lot, and she always tried to find like cities that had like solid theater programs, which was like really nice of her because amidst everything else, she didn't have to be doing that. So I think like as I was growing up, I always kind of like I was just a very dramatic kid. My mom would take me to like church choirs. We weren't religious, but she would like take me to these churches so I could like sing and do all this stuff. But I think like coming here and like meeting people who are going to school as well for theater is like something that really inspired me to keep going, because it's, you know, like you do theater so much as a kid and like it's such a mix of like people who don't want to be there and people who are just like goofing off, and then you come somewhere where people are like studying theater and it's like so inspirational to be like, oh, like if you have that much confidence in yourself, then like how much confidence can I have and stuff like that. And I think just like excellent stories, like I think what got me into being a writer for sure is just like buying as many plays as I could and reading and being like, oh, like I could put that up or I could write about that and stuff like that. So I think in a weird way, a lot of what keeps me going as a creator is like FOMO. Because like I'll read like good plays or I'll see good theater and I'm like, oh, I wanna be doing that. Let me get my fingers on there. So FOMO mostly, I guess.
No, yeah. Like, there's a lot in there. I'm trying to summarize in my head. I think one thing that you mentioned was, you know, you say that you moved around a lot, kind of growing up, and I think, I don't know, the thing that comes to mind for me there is this idea of like touchstones for each of those places.
Yes.
And memories for those places.
Yeah,
and
totally.
And is that part of why you kind of
maybe
are drawn towards, you know, acquiring these things?
Ooh.
I don't know.
You could be my therapist. This is so fun. I'm just going to tell you all my secrets and you can make my little through line.
No, but yeah, no. So
yeah.
I just thought that was interesting, and then
totally.
Yeah, and then like getting all of the plays and stuff, and then another thing I heard was like this idea of just surrounding yourself with kind of like-minded people, or like direction-oriented people.
Yeah.
You know, and then just kind of drawing off their energy and passion and allowing, you know, being open to that, having empathy. Yeah. Being open to that and just see, I don't know, just any of that. Right?
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think helping other people in their careers is the best way to forward your own, because you learn so much just by like watching other people.
And how old is Kate?
This is Miss Carly. She's
Carly.
13.
13.
I got her when I was, I think I got her when I was 11.
Yeah.
We've been best friends since, so I've had her my whole life, so she's allowed to push me around.
Yeah. Nice. If anybody can, our pets
exactly,
can.
yeah.
Nice. Cool.
I guess she'll just sit there now.
Yeah, that's her spot. Right on. Cool. Did you have anything else to share about career and field and why you went?
I don't think so.
No? That's totally fair. If not,
no.
Cool. Our last question for you is just, what are your future aspirations and goals, if anything? What isn't?
Yeah, I guess just to be a storyteller is my big one. I feel like I have a lot of hands in different theater honeypots. Like I really like writing and performing and directing and theater creation and philosophy and all this stuff. So I guess my dream for myself is to always be able to access like passions in the future and stuff like that. I feel like I never know like what's gonna hit me next is like the next inspiration. I guess it's Descartes right now. I've been spewing Descartes all day. But I think just like having the opportunity to like have my voice heard is something that's really important to me.
Yeah.
I guess like my voice wasn't heard there, but I guess just like storytelling is like the big word that comes to mind, just because there's so much I want to do. There's so much I want to do there's so much stuff I want to put my fingers on.
Totally.
So yeah.
Yeah, right on. Storytelling, and it makes sense. I think like what I'm hearing is like just being able, you have a lot of sources of inspiration. It
Absolutely,
sounds like,
yeah.
You know, and then also, yeah, being able to draw inspiration from the people around you as well. Like I think that's a real gift, and so, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just storytelling
Totally.
in any way, shape, or form you can.
Yes,
is what it
I
sounds
think like Buffon clown really inspires me. Like that idea of like creating a character that people laugh at and then showing people that that character is themselves. I think is something I take into like almost all my art, where I'm like, oh, I could wrap this up at the end of the script and be like, well, look at what you're doing and stuff like that. I think like disconstructing what art looks like is really important to me, because I think a lot of the times you get so like set on what theater is to you and what performance is to you that you kind of forget all the aspects that there is. And so I always try and kind of challenge what's there for me to see what I can like bend.
Interesting. Yeah, I think what comes to mind for me is that idea of you learn some rules so that you can break them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, absolutely. Awesome. I think that is all the time we have for this segment. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yes.
To interrupt, we actually have one question from an audience member.
Oh, yes.
That's okay.
Oh
Let's
my
do
gosh.
it. We have a question.
Yes.
So the question we have was, we talked about a little bit about D&D. What is your favorite D&D story?
So what is your favorite D&D story?
What is my favorite D&D story? There are so many. I'm playing Curse of Strahd right now, which is like big vampire one. I'm playing with a group of people, and like our friend Logan is DMing it. And obviously like it's a written book, so he's just reading like storylines off the page. But I just keep trying to ask questions that like the book doesn't allude to. Like he'll be like, oh, like Strahd had all the female dusk elves put to death. And I was like, what about the non-binary dusk elves? I just kept being like, because it kept saying men and women, and I keep being like, well, where are all the non-binary characters? And like, are they okay? And so he'd have to keep being like, oh no, like the non-binary ones are fine. Or like, and he'd be like, hundreds of men and women are chained up. And I'd be like, oh my God, where? What about the non-binary people? And he's like, there's one non-binary person. So I think just kind of like pissing people off is my favorite D&D memory, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it sounds like even that right there, I'm seeing this parallel of like, of breaking those walls.
Totally.
Because the author, obviously, right, they have a construct that they've set up and they go with, but you're like, well, what about outside?
Exactly,
so, no, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for asking. And thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
But yeah, that is all the time we have for this segment. So again, thank you so much for sharing. And thank you everybody for tuning in, be it on the live stream or otherwise. We're gonna hopefully get up to some more stuff here shortly. But yeah, I'm Perry. He's Clark. You are
Achilles. This is Lay Chef.
Lay Chef, and this has been the Windy City's Fun.
Going, I guess.
Cool.
By sautéing these bad boys. Oh
my God.
I will say I specifically didn't say great lasagna. I said mean lasagna.
It's already mean. It's spitting back at us.
It really is. It really
that's
is.
That's okay. So you start by sautéing onions.
Some onions. We're gonna get a nice meat sauce going. Best part of lasagna. Now, not many people do ricotta. There's a lot of ricotta haters out there.
Okay.
Would you like to add the ricotta into this beautiful bowl?
I would love to do that, yeah. So you add the whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
Because you said we're going to make a layer.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, heck it.
Do you have a spoon?
Oh, yes, a spoon. This lasagna is all go by your heart.
Go by your heart.
Nobody wants to go... Oh. That's okay. That's decoration. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That looks great. Yeah.
We are doing it here.
Perfect. And we're just going to throw whatever we want into there.
Really?
Yeah, why not? What's the worst that could happen?
And so lasagna, is this like a home recipe? Like we do it by our heart.
Yes.
But like how long have you been making this? Or where did your lasagna passion start?
I don't know. I just think pasta's good. Wasn't a If I can make pasta without having to like, I guess it is like making pasta, but like you can put of pasta. Because you put it away and then you're done.
Yeah.
This is parsley.
Okay.
And one of these is basil.
Okay.
So that's up for you to find out.
Are we going to put both of them in? All of it or just some of
A
it?
little bit, why not?
Just a little bit of each. Okay.
To your heart's content.
What does that smell like? I don't really.
No clue.
Oh.
Anything.
We're going with our
I
hearts
think
here.
that's basil.
Okay. We're gonna go. If anybody knows out
Yeah.
there, please help.
Yeah, comment down below. It'll help us out. Okay. Well,
Sniff.
I know this isn't my show.
I was wrong.
Okay, great.
Here's what you said about. Were there any?
I was taking 17. Great. Spices, some salt.
I love your
Sure.
spice draw.
Thank you. My roommate just organized it. So.
Nice.
That's why I don't bake.
Sorry. Go down for a bit.
Okay.
Audio seems to be cutting in and out.
Here for technical difficulties, maybe you can hear.
Feels like we're trading Pokemon cards.
I
a little bit.
know.
Like a little Pokedex moment.
Okay, so far we are. I'm gonna turn this off.
Okay. We will. Are we still live?
Still live. I can cut.
What have we done so far?
We've
Achilles?
sauteed the onions. I put
Sauteed?
some garlic.
Look, I love it.
The water's bubbling.
Water is bubbling.
You've been on ricotta cheese duty.
Ricotta cheese, and we did the whole tub.
Yep,
and
why
we
not?
We measure with our heart.
Yeah, of course.
And
There are no recipe ingredients to this. I actually, the way I figure out how to cook this is I Google it. Actually, a different.
That's okay. Take a second here. I'm Perry. He's Clark, and you are.
Achilles, and this
Yeah.
is Le Chef.
And this is Le Chef here in the background, supervising. Yes, and we are cooking today.
Lasagna. I make a mean lasagna.
A mean lasagna. I
Yeah.
love it. And yeah, I think we've taken a couple steps already. So let's just briefly overview what we've had the chance to do.
Yes, I've been in charge of the aromatics.
Mm.
I think these are aromatics, actually. I've been saying that to impress you both, but I don't actually know what an aromatic is. It's onion and garlic in here.
Onion and garlic.
Yep,
okay.
that's it. And then we got you doing some ricotta cheese.
Ricotta cheese.
Got
We used
some
the whole tub.
Yep.
And we measured herbs with our heart.
Yep.
We have both parsley and basil.
Yeah, basil? Yeah.
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 We measure with our heart.
Yeah, this is why I don't bake, because
Okay.
this would go horrible if I were to
Right.
make cupcakes.
Totally.
But with cooking, you can do whatever you want.
Do what you want.
So we're gonna get you to pop an egg in that ricotta.
Interesting.
Because it holds it together better. And if you wouldn't mind passing me the parsley.
The parsley was this one.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll find out at the end which one that was.
Okay. And then where do I put the eggshell once we're done with it? Just in the trash? Or?
Yeah, you can throw it in this, we'll call this the garbage tub.
Okay, garbage Tupperware. Okay.
Perfect.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay. Okay, here we go, team. I don't know why I'm building
This is a
up
low
so much.
stakes egg crack.
Oh.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Are you proud of me, English chef?
Right in the little
Oh, yes,
tupper.
yes,
Oh, sorry, I thought you were looking for the garbage.
Awesome.
Yes.
I'll just,
Yeah, please.
you know what this reminds me of?
What? Little
Tactile,
fingers,
little fingers.
exactly. Yeah. I would be shoving my fingers in this ground beef, but I won't. So.
Is there a towel? Or I'll just use a paper towel.
Yeah, please go for the paper
Okay,
towel.
let's do that.
Popping some ground beef in
We
here.
got ground beef. I
Ooh.
love it. Awesome.
Oh,
and we got
yeah.
our water bubbling.
Oh
over
yes, it's noodle time.
Here. Noodle time. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I love that sizzle. If you can hear that.
Lasagna. That's part of it. You gotta go lasagna. Yeah. Here, why don't you pop the noodles in?
All of them?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm gonna do them one at a time because I'm scared of getting boiled. You know what
That's
I mean?
fair.
Just gonna do them a little bit at a time here.
You're doing it so gentle.
I know.
Half of this lasagna is aggression.
Is that why it's a mean lasagna?
Yeah, that's why
Just
it's
'cause you're so aggressive.
It's a bully lasagna.
Awesome. Okay.
Perfect.
We're almost there. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Great. I don't remember what I was doing. You can mix up that little egg
this egg.
business.
I just completely left it unattended. Okay. And the purpose of this was to keep it,
To like,
help
help it
it
stick together.
Interesting.
That's just what my great-great-grandmother, or all recipes online, told me happens when you put egg and ricotta.
I mean, it's looking like it's sticking together.
Nice.
So that is very fun.
Now, some people are ricotta haters, like my roommates.
Oh yeah.
But I think it adds an extra little something.
Yeah.
Little something to the lasagna. I also make a
feel like-
mean baked spaghetti.
Okay.
Same technique.
Baked spaghetti.
Yes,
What is that?
it's spaghetti that you bake. I don't know. You do this, but imagine it's spaghetti in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
you
fair enough.
pop it in the oven, like some cheese and stuff.
Oh, like
Excellent.
spaghetti bolognese. Is that what you
Yeah. What
Okay.
what are you talking
I
about?
don't know. In England, you get like spaghetti bolognese, and
Yeah.
it's like minced meat,
Yeah.
and then like a red sauce,
Yeah.
sauce, and then spaghetti.
Yeah. You thought it was just like noodles in there?
Yeah.
No. No.
Okay.
Spaghetti and sauce.
Sauce.
Spaghetti and bolognese.
Nice. Cool.
That, I wouldn't be opposed to that though. I'm a bit of a buttered noodle guy myself, so I feel like that would actually kind of hit a little bit.
Right on. And I remembered earlier, I don't know if we caught it, but I think it was very pertinent to like the questions that we were talking about
Yes.
earlier of like, you said that pasta is good,
Pasta is good.
and I had asked if, any philosophers had said that,
Yeah.
because I think they should have.
They,
if they didn't.
I agree that they should have.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure. There were a good amount of Italian philosophers, though.
Okay,
So-
okay. So odds are higher.
Yeah.
But,
And pasta is good, so I don't see why that would need many essays.
Yeah.
They could
They
probably
would find a way, though. They would find a way to...
yeah, they would. They'd be like, now when I say pasta, I need spaghetti with bolognese.
It can only be handmade from this region. with these
Exactly.
ingredients.
That's why we're hand making everything today. That's not
Awesome.
true.
No, not true at all.
No.
But we're working with what we've got.
Yeah.
right? Awesome. And I think another question I was asking is just like when did your passion for lasagna start? Or is it just one of those meals that you could just make it kind of in bulk? And you
Yeah.
could just kinda,
I don't know. I think a little bit of both. I had to really teach myself how to cook, as does everyone when they move out.
Totally.
And I think lasagna is just those ones. I said this earlier. It's the laundry of pastas because it's the ones that you just kind of pop in there and you're like, okay, well, lasagna's in the oven. And I always like foods that passively smell good. So like I can go downstairs and like play some Sims, escape a little, come back up.
You know you've got something tasty
Oh
waiting.
yeah. Oh yeah, like I'm a crock pot guy, that kind of stuff.
It sounds like you would enjoy baking though, because baking is a very
you got
sensual
me.
thing, but you can't always do it from the heart.
Yeah, that's the problem is I don't read the measuring cups,
okay.
so it gets me into a bit of trouble.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I could bake, but I think the most fun part of cooking is just kind of like,
Just throwing stuff
getting
in
it in there. It'll taste good.
Yeah.
Why not? I love to sniff spices,
Right
which you
on.
don't get to do when you're baking very often.
No, that is true.
Great.
And I feel like for baking, the quantity of spices would be far less.
Yes. And when you add more, you're like, ooh, that's spicy. When you add more parsley/basil,
It's more flavor.
it's great. Yeah.
The meat absorbs it. It's fine.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah. Maybe it does. Maybe news to me. Yeah. I'm not the best chef in the world, but I know how to feed myself.
But hey, you have the best supervision. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Lay chef keeps me
If
in
you mess
line.
up, it's on a lay chef.
Exactly. Yeah.
What else can we say?
He actually got vetoed out of staying in the kitchen because my roommates find him creepy.
Oh,
I
no.
think he's fine. I think he's a fun, special guy with no arms. I like his mutton chops,
Yes.
but I don't. So he stays
so-
on the bookshelf.
Sorry, who was Le Chef? Where did this come from?
I got him from a clown garage sale for a loonie in Calgary.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it was a great deal.
Yeah.
He had strings. I cut them off so that he could be free.
You could be free.
And now he walks around while we're sleeping, and he elf on the shelves every day. He
Elf
does a
on the
little
shelf.
prank. Lay chef on the lay step.
Okay.
That's what we actually call it here. We don't. Nobody likes to talk about him because he freaks them out.
That is right.
Yeah. Great. So this is probably
Done.
good.
Okay.
Do a little drain, and then we get to assemble it all.
Sounds good.
Woo.
We're gonna drain in the pasta here. Do you need a hand?
No.
You
This ain't my first lasagna. Which might surprise you, by the way. I've been doing this. Oh, yeah.
It feels like it's different every time. you know
Yeah,
what I
get
mean?
those dirty dishes in there. Yeah, I had cereal for breakfast. Yeah.
We all have them. We all have dirty dishes. It's all good.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Here she is.
Here
This
she
is where
is.
this is the vessel for our
vessel.
creation, and we're gonna
love
pop
it.
some. Oh. Mmm. Sauce. Okay, I just got it all over me. That's part of it. That's part of it. That's part of it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
I can take that.
That
from
would be
you.
great. I'm just gonna grab a. Okay, this shirt always had fun little spots on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mix that in there.
Yeah. And then it just needs a second, and then we're good to start assembling.
I love that, like, I don't know if you could hear it, but that sizzle of the meat, and then you put the sauce in there, and it just, like, subdues everything, you know? It's like, it's coming together.
You know, this is controversial, but a lot of people drain their ground beef, but I don't for lasagna.
Okay.
I think it adds a nice je ne sais quoi, as
Okay.
Les Chef would say. I actually am just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I don't know anything about anything. But so far, it's looking like I do, so that's it's pretty exciting.
It's something you enjoy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. It's good, like, brain off, kind of like, sure, I'll make a lasagna. Why not? Okay, I think we're ready to start layering.
Okie dokie.
So, this is the most crucial step.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
We start,
walking around.
We start with the sauce.
Start with the sauce.
Here, you
Okay.
be sauce.
I
We
have
need a
the-
good sauce base.
Okay, sauce base.
Yes.
I'm actually gonna bring this a bit
Yeah,
close.
please do.
And arrange our workspace here.
Yes.
Awesome. We need a nice little base going here.
Yes.
Okay.
This looks great.
Awesome.
Yes.
There we
Amazing.
go.
Perfect. That's probably it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
And now we put our little fingies in here.
Very tactile. Oh my gosh.
Oh. Yeah. Grab one of these bad boys.
Okay.
Lay them all out. Ew. I probably should not be saying ew. I'm just a textures guy. Ow.
Texture's got-
Hot.
It's very hot.
They're very hot. I should have done something with that, but I didn't.
Okay.
Then guess what? Spoilers. Second meat layer.
Second meat
I know.
layer.
You
I
all
love it.
might be
Okay.
shocked at home to hear. Because this is
Awesome.
the first layer that counts.
First layer is it's like the foundations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is gonna be good. I'm convinced now that this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
Now we go in with the ricotta.
Now we add some ricotta.
Yes,
Awesome.
add a little ricotta layer. And that
Okay.
egg's keeping it all together.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Do-do-do.
Yeah,
Awesome.
amazing.
Get that in there. Do one more
Yes.
and spread it out a bit.
Yeah. Ooh, that was that was wet. Yes.
Okay. Is
You're
that
an
enough?
excellent ricotta spreader. Give
Thank
it another
you.
scoop.
Okay, one more scoop.
You're crazy. Okay, great. And
More.
then get ready for this. We're gonna put pizza mozzarella on top.
Pizza mozzarella.
It's called pizza mozzarella because when I Instacarted mozzarella, it said pizza mozzarella on the front. So
specifically for pizzas.
so
but
that-
we're breaking those rules.
yeah, sorry
It's
pizzas.
like in storytelling, you know? You build your boundaries. you break 'em.
Exactly.
I love it. Awesome, awesome.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I double cheese it up. I actually am super dairy intolerant.
And you just,
So that's a fun surprise for me later. And now we're gonna have more noodles.
okay, more noodles. More
Yeah.
noodles. They've had a bit more time to cool off.
Yes, they
Yeah.
are still
Oh, help
so
me out.
hot.
There we go. I'll go first.
Please.
Do.
Lasagna
Nice.
noodles are such a fun shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Nice.
And now
Okay.
we sauce it up. It's a process, you see.
Mhm.
It's a 5-step,
It's a layered process,
just like storytelling.
just like storytelling.
It's all layered.
We're telling a story right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, we are. Like,
Yes.
like we have never done this before.
No.
This is the first time we're spending time together, doing
Yes.
this together, and like I feel like this lasagna captures this memory.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I'm gonna keep it in my room forever, and I'm never gonna eat it because I get too attached to stuff. And then in 2 years, I'm gonna be like, oh, ew.
Oh, that was a gross memory.
Great. Now we're gonna slap most of that ricotta cheese on.
Most of that ricotta.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
because
on
this is a shallow casserole dish. It's not lasagna if you don't make it in an obscure dish.
it. Yeah. And so, do you
Yes.
enjoy cooking like for people? Like, is
Yeah.
part of your quality time, gift giving?
I think so. I think I always cook more than I need to.
Okay.
And I feel like I always subconsciously like cook knowing that roommates are gonna be home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I'm a big like watch people take the first bite, wait and see how they react kind of person. Be like,
Okay.
is it good? Do you like it? Do you like it? So yeah, I think it's nice to like cook for other people. I'm kind of like neurotic in the kitchen.
Okay. How so?
I just like, I gotta put my fingers on everything. I gotta control it all. But you're actually doing very excellent, so you could be
Okay.
my sous chef.
Okay, sounds good.
You passed the
You're
test.
welcome to correct me if I am.
No,
but-
no. It's mozzarella time. Do you want to mozzarella it
Yeah,
up?
let's mozzarella it up. I was watching your technique.
Oh
and
yes,
I
the
think I
sprinkle
got it.
technique.
I'm taking your tactile.
Ooh.
Yeah, tactile.
Yes, kinesthetic learner.
Kinesthetic learner. I am one
Yes.
also.
Are you
actually.
really?
Fun fact. Yes,
Ah,
very
that's
much so.
fun.
Yeah.
I love to grab.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. This is
Bit
great.
more or not?
Yeah.
More?
Who cares? Yeah.
Awesome.
Amazing. Great. Now we just do one more layer.
One more layer.
One more. So back to
Yeah.
these hot noodles. Well, it's a good thing we made the whole box.
Yeah. We have
Now
can
we
make
got-
2 lasagnas.
we could. Maybe I'll make a new recipe. I'll make like a sandwich, and this will be the bread or something.
Or I wonder if we use pizza mozzarella in this lasagna. I wonder if there's a way we could use lasagna ingredients on a pizza.
You.
All right. no, just putting it out there. It's like the philosophy
We could,
moment.
whoa! That's Descartes figuring out, I think therefore I could make a pizza lasagna. Yeah, we could. I have once rolled them with the cheese and the sauce in there. I know.
I have never
I know.
thought to do that.
I know, it was
You
kind of
roll
deep.
these with the cheese? and
Yeah,
sauce
like
in
you
it?
put a little cheese in there, put a little sauce in there, roll it on up.
That sounds amazing. Honestly, holy.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
maybe another time, but yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry that this isn't as cool as the lasagna roll up.
No, it's all good. Cool.
All right, get it
Love
all in there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, and then might as well put this last bit of
Yeah,
the
why
style on
not?
there. Okay. Waste not, want not. You know.
Exactly.
You ready for this?
Yes.
Should I put it right in the middle?
Yeah, go
or-
for it. Why not?
Okay. It's not enough to cover it, you know. So I'm like,
Exactly.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's fun. It's like a little sour cream moment in the middle. Like a little chili.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
great.
do this on like really fancy things, right? Where
Yeah,
they have like
yeah.
that little dollop of whatever. in the
Yeah,
middle
yeah.
of
The
it.
guys that know the difference between parsley and basil,
Yeah.
they put it in the middle.
Yeah, they do.
Great, and then we're just gonna put the rest of the cheese
The rest.
and Parmesan.
And Parmesan.
I bought this Parmesan special for this because the other one got smelly. Did you guys know it did that?
I did not.
Apparently, if you don't eat Parmesan fast enough, it just keeps like aging as a cheese because
But
it's
it
like a
doesn't
cheese.
necessarily get better.
Not how far mine got to.
Fair enough.
It was, enough said. It was not good.
No, that is fair.
Yeah,
Is that enough?
sure,
A little bit more.
do it.
Nice. And so you are lactose intolerant.
I'm so lactose intolerant. I sure am.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Could have thrown some oat milk in here, but whatever. Okay,
Amazing.
we did it.
We did
Now
it?
it's time. What is it time for? I guess we got to put some some tin foil on top.
Okay.
Oh, that's not where the tin foil is.
Okay.
Because we got to bake it, according to the first recipe I opened,
Sounds
we got to
good.
bake it 25 minutes covered, and then
25
25
minutes.
uncovered.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I couldn't tell you why. I said this off camera, but I figure out how to cook this based on just the first recipe that shows up.
First thing, that's the one.
Yep,
Run with it. I love it.
yep. I do that same with like cooking chicken.
Okay.
Search roast chicken.
And
Tells
just
you how
whatever
long
it
to put it in
says?
for. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Great. Now it goes into the oven.
And this is the making of a mean lasagna.
Yes, it's true.
Awesome.
Would you
Okay.
like to do the honors?
I will do the honors.
Please?
Should I have gloves on? Do you have gloves?
Would you
or
like
no?
gloves?
Maybe let's grab some gloves. There we go. Look at that.
They're silicone too.
Silicone,
Slip
extra
resistant.
safe.
Yes.
Resistant. Here we go.
Get her
There we
in
go.
there.
The making of a mean lasagna.
There she goes.
There we go. Oh,
She's hefty.
yeah.
Hi.
Lasagna.
And now we
Nice.
wait.
And now we wait. Awesome. Well, I'm going to give you a high five.
Yes.
Thank you so much for showing us how to make a mean lasagna.
Of course.
I love the chaotic energy. It was chaotic. We cannot deny.
No, yeah.
And I cannot wait to taste that in the lasagna.
Oh, me neither.
But we do have to wait. So we're going to check in later about how it tastes. So in the meantime, yeah, I think that's the end of this segment.
Great.
So thank you so much for sharing with us this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Perry. He's Clark. You are
Achilles, lay chef.
Lay Chef. We cannot forget our lovely supervisor.
Blackout poetry.
Blackout poetry. And I think,
Yes.
so why is it poetry?
It's called blackout poetry because it comes from original text already kind of around.
Sorry. Right?
We use found text, like stuff that's already published or already exists, and find interesting words and create a new poem out of an already existing kind of piece of work, and you black out the rest of the text. So it's usually like kind of short minimalist poetry, but it's created out of something that's already been created. So it's kind of a cool process.
Yeah. And does this have like any ties to like your work in theater? Like I know you've talked about theater creation and devised theater.
Yeah, I think I definitely do a lot of blackout poetry and devised. I think like one of the good ways like to get inspired for creation is to kind of like write as much as you can and then make blackout poetry from that, because it kind of helps you to like, it's kind of like taking a breath in terms of like your own writing, because you're erasing kind of like the noise and kind of making your own stuff. So I use it a lot for creation. I also use it a lot like sometimes like as a writer you get really fatigued trying to come up with everything. So like the idea of creating something from destruction is kind of nice because it doesn't use the same kind of parts of your brain, I like to think. So it's kind of, it's like coloring, kind of like a nice like change of pace. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
One thing that comes to mind, just because like I know we're going to be doing some cooking, but is like deconstructing like a recipe where people do like deconstructed versions of something.
Yes.
And it's like they have all the ingredients. They don't have to think about that, but they have to think about how they present it, I guess, in a different way. So I don't know. That's a parallel I kind of saw there.
I like that.
But I love this what you said about this idea of like taking a breath. You know, because I think writing can be a very scary medium, maybe.
Yeah,
or very,
it is scary.
You know, and so that idea of like taking a breath, and I maybe missed some of the context around that, but I love that image and idea of taking a breath. Was it from your own writing, or was it just a way to kind of not have to think as much about what you're writing?
Especially when it comes to like creation, I think it's more of taking a breath, because a lot of the times, like when I want to create a piece but I don't know kind of what about, I'll do like free form writing of just like, this is kind of in general what I want to talk about, and then creating blackout poetry from that free form writing kind of forces you to look at the important parts and like what really calls to you. So it's kind of like pulling out what you didn't think might have been the most important parts, but
You know what this brings to mind for me?
Yes.
We talked about philosophers and how they will have a lot, like, I think therefore I am, or pasta is good. You know, there'll be one thing that people take from a much larger context, and it seems like this idea of you just do that quantity. And then you find those golden nuggets in there. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to do blackout poetry out of like a philosopher's essay. It would take a lot of time. But like, even like, I know my friend Jess wrote a play and then made blackout poetry from her own play, and then made a second play from that of like just the text she pulled out of the original text. So yeah, there's so much stuff you can do with like creation and stuff like that.
Interesting. People are living inside. That's all good. Cool. Great. I think, is there anything else that we should know, like, before we dive into it? Like, where did you source these things even?
I found them, a bunch of them, like, in Medicine Hat. They were selling, like, brown envelopes full of, like, different just random pieces of paper, so I bought a bunch of them. Some of them I've collected, just, like, random, like, some of these are, like, dictionary papers. There's, like, some sheet music. Like, really just, like, the weirder you can find, the cooler you're usually going to be able to get from this. So, yeah, just get it from wherever. Yeah.
So you're just kind of sourcing it from wherever you can.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sourcing it out.
And different mediums, it sounds like.
Yes.
It looks like a newspaper even.
Yeah.
This looks like a newspaper.
There was one newspaper article that was like, she has a case of the woman.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is at all. But yeah, there was one that was very misogynistic. I actually just did one the other day where I took like, it was a news article talking about how you can't complain about your life unless you're in the war. And I blackout poetryed into it a love poem. So like I just took the most beautiful words out of it. So yeah, it's nice sometimes to like know what you're writing over and like be aware of that as the like context. Another form of art. The context of the words that you're going to be pulling from. Yes, like, exactly. Interesting. I cannot find the misogynistic one, but there was one. Okay. It was, there's like sheet music. And there was like a newspaper kind of clipping. And there's merchants on here. Importance of being earnest. Okay. Awesome. I saw some Cecily. We also have some materials from one of our features with. What was their name? Oh my gosh, Jess. Yes, with Jess, and it was like A Midsummer Night's Dream, some songs and stuff. That's awesome. We can also pull from those. Yes, but let's do it. But yeah, I think maybe if we kind of have a rundown, like we see you kind of go through the process first. Absolutely. And then maybe later I'll be able to give it a go. Sure. Myself. Yeah. But as it stands, it seems like a very accessible thing. Absolutely. Oh yeah. Like, you can do it with anything. Yeah. And I think like a lot of like, especially like creation of new text is really daunting because of like how hard it is to like stare at an empty Google Doc and be like, okay, I'm going to create something. So like, this is a good way to like kind of get things going when you don't want the commitment of like starting a whole project and stuff. So yeah, I really like it. Interesting. And
I know you're a very tactile person.
I am.
So is the paper like hands-on element?
It is kind of nice. You are noticing more about this about me than I do. I guess everything I do is just for my fingers.
No, that's all good. All good.
That makes sense.
I'm just curious. Like, do you think people could do this virtually, like on
Ooh,
a computer?
I think you could.
Could?
Yeah, like Adobe photo shoot, like
Yeah.
start blacking out. It might look a little like a government document,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
where they kind of black the
absolutely.
stuff out. But yeah, you could do it really on anything.
But no, awesome. I think it's always a good bet to do something tactile and
Totally.
just
Oh yeah,
input.
I'm a big like buy the book instead of a Kindle person.
Absolutely.
I like
yeah.
the flip the pages.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Awesome.
chose a dictionary slab.
Okay.
It's cam to can.
Oh, interesting. So this is from a dictionary,
Yes,
and it covers words.
from can.
Interesting.
And so the first thing I kind of do is just pick out words that like inspire me. And the first thing I kind of saw were the 3 can'ts here.
Okay.
I think that's kind of a fun repetition moment. And
Interesting.
then I also saw the battlefield and an unreliable story as like kind of like maybe somewhere to start.
Interesting.
Mixed with the 3 can'ts, I think could be a fun little thing.
Yeah.
So the hardest part, honestly, is making sure you don't actually black out the stuff you need, because I have done that so many times, and there's no going back. So I kind of start by just like sharpieing around the words I'm gonna use, because then hopefully I.
And how many of these would you kind of identify ahead of time? Like, would you typically identify for a poem? Like,
Yeah, I think like really like having one element of it that really sticks out to you is probably the best way to go. Like a lot of the times with blackout poetry, you don't get to control as much as you'd want to. Like a lot of times like you want an is or you want an and there just isn't one.
right.
So a lot of times it's taking that inspiration and finding a bunch of different stories you could make from it. Like my initial ones were can't, and I found quite a few things that I could like repeat that on top of, but not a lot of them made sense. So that's where it kind of comes down to the art that you're kind of using, because it's going to drastically change the story you tell.
Right.
So now that I did that, I get to take this big boy, and that's when you start kind of like blacking out the rest. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. Some people like paint. Some people, I've done ones where I like cut the words out and put it on a canvas. Totally up to you. There's like, you can also like circle things and then like trace them, and yeah, it feels kind of sometimes horrible to black out other people's words, but this is a dictionary, so I feel less bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, right on.
It also has a cool effect. It gets you a little high while you're doing it because there's a lot of fumes going around. And then I think I'm gonna save a can at the end here.
Okay.
Little motif moment.
Yeah, kind of flipping it.
Yeah. And then the rest is elementary.
Yeah. Awesome.
There.
And then we still have the title at the top here.
Oh.
Kid
Ooh. Ah.
Yeah. And the numbers.
And the numbers. That's a good question.
This would be our poem.
This is the poem. I was kind of a little trigger happy on erasing the rest. Like a lot of times you could like make like that big long sentence.
For sure.
But I think like with blackout poetry, if you can find something, it works a bit better, because then a lot of times like if you're picking a lot of when you're sometimes yeah, totally. So you want to try and really like think about what you're trying to say. I think I'm gonna keep the M dash, but I don't think I'm gonna keep either of the words. Why? But yeah, this is my story.
And so if we were to read this, how would
The battlefield. Unreliable.
wow. Oh, very poignant. And
Yes.
it brings to mind like the
Just for our viewers, can you say that one more time as well?
I'll say it more slam poetry with enunciation.
Sounds good.
The battlefield. An unreliable story. Can't, can.
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Out of a dictionary page.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I'm hearing what you're saying about not diluting the message of it. And it might be having some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But I think the idea of it is to be kind of ruthless with the words that you keep.
Totally.
And like you saw can't, and then battlefield, unreliable story, and it's almost like it brings to mind. That stand out, you know what I mean, and that are seem so. We have our first poem here that we have blacked out.
Yes.
The battlefield, an unreliable story. Can't, can. I love that. Very interesting. Poetic devices like the switch right at the end. It brings to mind. We do actually have, I think, one of Shakespeare's sonnets. So,
Yes.
he was known for that. Of the last two lines, like the rhyming couplet at the end, you would flip it. You know?
Yeah.
And you managed to achieve that with 1, 2, 3, 4.
And this
6,
final can, I believe, was part of a fuller word as well.
Right.
That just started with can, so I just cut it off to get that can at the end.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And this is so accessible, I think, right? Because you're already taking the words are already on the page, and I mean you spoke to it better, but there's this idea of just trusting that your audience will get it.
Yes.
That they'll understand. Is there anything else you can add to that?
Yeah, I think I really struggled doing blackout poetry when I first started doing it because I wanted to create a world and create a story and stuff, but when you're making a story out of already written words, you don't have autonomy over the words that are used.
Right.
So a lot of the times you think you're going somewhere and then you end up not being able to get anywhere because there's no the or and or stuff like that. So I think it's that's just something I've learned as a playwright as well, is your audience isn't as dumb as you think they are. You don't need to point everything out to them. So I think this is another example of being okay, I'm going to use less words, I'm going to trust that they're going to be able to derive meaning from that. And I mean, clearly it seemed to work well this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't always work that good.
Okay, yeah. Can you speak to that? Is there sometimes you just struggle to find the words on the page, or
sometimes I bite off more than I can chew, for sure. Sometimes it's a leave it alone, come back to it type thing.
Yeah.
I'm always a do it all in one sitting type person, but especially when you're looking through words, sometimes you just need to put it away and take a second. A couple of these have words circled in them of ones I started, and then I was no, I'm gonna just leave this alone.
Right.
So yeah, it's also taught me how to walk away from things, which is good. It's what I need as well.
That is a skill.
It is a skill, yes.
It's a skill that I know I gotta practice sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very interesting. Very interesting. Cool. I think would we be able to try and do another one?
Yes.
Would that be okay?
Let's do it.
And then I think I'll give it a go after we do
Sure.
that. So we have this clipping.
Yes.
Do we know what it's from? It looks
No clue. March 1916.
registered as a newspaper. Interesting.
Look at that, world. I really there's bolded titles.
Yeah.
Would you like to see it before I define it? It has bolded titles that really stick out to me. And the first one I saw was wife,
Okay.
which I love to see. We love women. So I kind of want to make the wife the first thing that happens.
Okay.
And then I kind of want to use these titles as descriptors for the women, I guess.
Oh.
So I want to kind of highlight the broken thread, salt of the earth,
Wow.
conscience, wraith, and then a debt.
Oh my gosh.
And then from those, I feel once I black everything else out, it'll just be a bunch of titles
For
about
the
women.
wife. Interesting.
Yeah.
Are we having some more technical difficulties, Clark?
Yeah, it looks like your mic is still cutting in and out.
My mic is cutting.
It's okay right now,
Yeah.
but it is fighting.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe we will have to take a break. Okay. Yeah, we'll take a break. Maybe it's the battery. So, are we still live?
Still live. The lasagna's done.
Okay, so maybe we check out the lasagna.
Sure.
Yeah!
Okay.
Let's have some
I love it.
Oh yeah. Oh, she's wet. It's a wet lasagna. All right.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna use
Yeah,
this.
get it in there. Yes. Sure. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah.
This is amazing. Here we go.
Hey. That's
Look.
not too bad
Ah.
looking.
I only spilt one edge of a noodle.
Not bad. That is one mean lasagna.
Yes.
Check out those layers.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. We gotta
What?
sprinkle basil or parsley on top.
Yes.
We gotta sprinkle whatever this is on top.
Oh, yes. What is that called? When they, yes.
Garnish.
Garnish. There we go. A lovely little garnish. Awesome. I love it.
Well, there we go. A little
There
bit of
we go.
greenery.
Yeah.
I guess we just eat it
And then
now.
we're gonna have like a little taste test of this here.
Oh, this is
A mean
gonna do wonders to my
lasagna.
digestive system.
You don't have to if you don't
No,
want to.
oh, it's more than I want to.
Okay, I'm trying to be strategic. You know what I mean? Strategic. Yeah, we gotta get a bit of noodle, bit of bolognese.
Oh gosh.
Awesome. We're gonna
Well,
take some of this garnish here.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Dink.
There we go. Oh, I blew my garnish off. Oh no.
I really is good.
Mhm.
That's a lasagna.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That is a lasagna.
That's a mean lasagna.
That is a mean lasagna. Yeah, that is delicious.
Yeah.
And we built it with our heart, which makes it even
Yes.
better.
And our
Um,
gusto.
and gusto. Thank you. Yeah. Courtesy, or what is it?
Les chef.
Les chef. No, but what do they say to the compliments,
Compliments
to
to Les chef.
the chef?
Yes.
Compliments to les chef.
Yeah.
No.
This is great.
was delicious. Thank you so much.
Of
for
course.
sharing how to make this with us in a very chaotic way. But it does not taste chaotic. Everything's
No.
blending. I am not a food connoisseur,
Me neither.
but it tastes good. That's all I can say.
That's all you need.
I'm gonna take
That
another
does
bite.
taste good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's parsley. I could not tell you.
Yeah. I don't know either, but it tastes good, and that is what matters.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's parsley. Clark corrects
I
us.
don't know if we can trust Brent though.
Awesome. I think that is all the time we have. So, again, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, be it on the live stream or otherwise. I'm Barry. He is Clark. This is the Windy City's Finest, and you are?
Achilles.